Go Pizza presents SCP. The Steve Dangle Podcast with your hosts, Steve Dangle and Adam Wilde.
Okay, so just like to start the show, we have Hailey Salvian joining us from The Athletic, who, again, it's Hailey Day, part 2.
Yes.
Hailey, welcome to the show. Thanks so much for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me again, guys.
And
Whatever, you weren't doing anything.
literally every outlet in the world is asking for you right now. And that is because you can lend some context and some credibility to a conversation that has been ongoing for a while. And today we had a huge bombshell drop. Hillary Knight, Natalie Spooner, many of the names you know in women's hockey released this statement. I'm going to read it in part because I'm sure if you're listening to this podcast, you probably saw it anyway. But we are fortunate enough to be ambassadors of this game that we revere so deeply, and yet, more than ever, we understand the responsibility that comes with ambassadorship. To leave this game in better shape than when we entered it, that is why we come together, over 200 players strong, to say it is time to create a sustainable professional league for women's hockey. And Hailey, to quote your article, 200 plus women's hockey players will not play in any North American league this upcoming season. They are putting aside personal goals and potential championships to stand in solidarity to fight for a sustainable future. Your article is in full at The Athletic, basically at The Athletic NHL. You can subscribe and do whatever you need to do there. But Hailey, what do we need to know right now? What are the base level points about this?
Oh, that's a good question. I mean, I don't know if it'll turn into, a union, but I think what this is it's the players finally, taking hold of their future and taking it into their own hands. They've had, this isn't anything new for them. I think they've long had discussions about, taking gap years and they're very specific not to use the word boycott because this isn't a boycott for them. It's a gap year. They've, Kendall Coyne-Schofield, I just talked to her and she's like, this has been a conversation that we've been having for a long, long time. It's not anything new for them. They're finally just deciding we're not going to play in these leagues that don't have the money, the infrastructure, or the sustainability for the future and the betterment of women's hockey. And, this maybe it kind of is like a little bit of a union because there's, 200 plus players who are, coming together. They sought legal advice. They have, a PR team. This was very calculated. And so, that could be something that comes of this. But, I think the biggest thing here and the biggest note is that they're just really, taking control of the future of the women's game.
So, important note here that I only just found out from you. So, when I first read this, I was like, okay, so at first we were just losing the CWHL. Now we're losing the NWHL too, but that's not necessarily the case, right? It's a gap year. Yeah.
So, there's the 200 plus players. I believe the majority of them, there's a lot from the CWHL, excuse me, and then there's players from the NWHL as well. I think it's everyone from Team Canada, Team USA. There's some European players as well. But, the National Women's Hockey League, they're still going to have a season next year. They're confident that they're going to have, season 5 is what I've been told. They just released a statement a few minutes ago. And, their stance is, we only had about 10 national team players and Europeans didn't play here. Canadians barely played here. So we still have enough to go off of. So the NWHL is still going to be around, but, 200 of, some of the most influential players in women's hockey will not be a part of it. And, we talk so much about the product of women's hockey and, having, some of the best players in the world leave. That's a big hit to the product.
So what does that do to the NWHL and what's the NHL's response? How do you... In this gap year, are they planning on trying to find people that or make infrastructure? What are they going to do with this year that will create a sustainable product? Or is this sort of like your move, NWHL, to start changing the way that they operate? And I admittedly don't know too much about how they operate. So what would need to change for that to be the league? And the NHL, also saying it's not getting involved.
I think what this is saying is, and the players obviously haven't said this, and this hasn't been in any of, their verbiage or communication, but, they didn't bring up the NWHL or the NHL in their statement, but the way that I interpret this is it's, we're not going to play in the hopes that the NHL is going to step up and create that sustainable league. And if it's not the NHL, it's somebody else. But I don't think it's the NWHL. I honestly feel like the move for the NWHL is that they're seeing is to fold. Because on Tuesday, I believe, Danny Ryland had a call with all of the players who were in the CWHL, prospective NWHL players, even some former ones. So, Kendall Coyne, Hillary Knight, all the players from the CWHL, they were all on a call with Danny where she basically laid everything out to them. Hey, guys, we have our planned expansion to Canada. Here's what we can offer you. We're going to raise the salaries, I believe. I'm not sure if that's accurate or not. That's what I've been told. Mm-hmm. We're going to raise the salaries. We're going to expand. We'll have XYZ partners. We have this partnership with this NHL team. Are you going to join us, basically? And the free agency signing is on the 15th. And they didn't say this on the call, but obviously with the news today, what the NWHL had to offer was not enough. It's not the right infrastructure, business model, money, travel, etc. It's just not enough for these players to say, okay, yeah, we'll come play for you.
Wow.
So I think that speaks quite a lot that Danny laid everything out on the line for them on Tuesday, and now today they're saying we're not going to play anywhere because nothing's good enough.
So these bombshells seem to sort of drop out of the sky. I mean, maybe you're a little bit
you saw this coming,
more in the know, and you see it coming.
We didn't.
Obviously. What on earth is next?
Yeah. That'd be nice.
Okay, cool.
That'd be nice to know.
Yeah.
I did see this coming. I think when you see, if you really pay attention to some of the verbiage these players have been using since the CWHL folded, it's all been about collaboration and unity, and we're going to review our options. And then here they are, 200 players united making this big decision. So I did see this coming. I got tipped off earlier in the week too. So I basically was pulling my hair out, waiting for this to happen, trying to get someone to talk to me, and nobody spoke. So that was kind of very telling to me that when people you have a good relationship with won't respond to your text, but you see them on Twitter, it's oh, she's ghosting me for a reason. So I kind of saw it coming. But what comes next? It's tough because it's going to be a long year without hockey for these 200 players. They're not going to be playing anywhere. I've asked them, is USA Hockey or Hockey Canada, stepped up and said they're going to help you with ice time or do this or that. I do believe Gina Kingsbury has said that there's a contingency plan to make sure that the players can continue to play because, it's a big hit for the national teams to not have their players, having somewhere to play all year round. USA Hockey, I don't think they've committed anything yet, but those are conversations that are going to be had. I think what could come next is maybe, they partner up and they do a longer Canada-USA rivalry series or something. They have more tune-up games. They have more national team stuff. But, yeah, I really don't know. I think it's just there's going to be a lot of players who don't have somewhere to play this season, and they're going to be, taking this gap year, waiting it out to see if what they did will actually, create change for the future.
I just find it hard to believe that they're actually going to sit out a full year because I find it hard to believe that this is sort of a blind shot in the dark. You mentioned, or maybe it was Adam who mentioned, that the NHL might step up here. Do you think there's a plan in place or something?
So I've been working on this with Katie Strang, and she's so awesome, and she's so well connected. And one of our sources told us that, the NHL, they're not, the NHL has a plan. There is a plan in place in terms of, if there was to be no women's hockey out there, that they'll step in. I think it was maybe you, Adam, that said, the NHL, do they just have a little league in their drawer that they can just pull out and ready? I think there's a blueprint for something. But that's not going to happen this year. Like, even if the NWHL come a few months says, okay, nobody signed on May 15th, we don't have players, we don't have money, we're not going to have a league this year, there's not going to be a WNHL for the 2019-2020 season. There's no way that comes around that quickly, but I do believe that there is a plan for 2020 for a league if there is to be nothing else in the market.
Interesting. Well, Hailey, I know that you're like in the middle of intense
everything.
Intense everything. I know you're transcribing interviews and everybody's calling asking for your time. So we promised you 10 minutes because not because we promised it to you. You promised it to us, and we don't want to go over it and waste your time. But we so appreciate this talk. We're going to keep bugging you every single time more news comes out because you seem to be the only one who can bring clarity to this. And thank you for the thank you and thank you to Katie as well for continuing to stay on this story, because I feel like this is what we're seeing right now is like the seminal moment in women's hockey thus far.
This is the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
This is the beginning, exactly. And this is where whatever happens next, it all comes from today. So thank you so much for your time, and thanks for continuing to stay on the story. And you can check out Hailey on The Athletic. The full story is there, right, Hailey?
Yep.
Okay.
It's still being updated, though. Like, once I finish my transcribing, there'll be some stuff from Hillary Knight and Kendall Coyne in there.
Amazing. Well, we're looking forward to that, and keep up the great work. Thanks so much.
Thank you guys for having me.
Here's the thing that I didn't want to keep Hailey on too long because I know she's in the middle of something. And maybe this isn't readily apparent right now. I'm not understanding how, and this just could be a blind spot for me. I'm not understanding how sitting out the year helps them. I don't understand that. Now, I understand that it sends a message, and if you're listening to what Hailey just said, and you're thinking, well, if the NHL has a contingency plan, why haven't they enacted it? And I would agree with that. If that plan exists, how come the NHL just hasn't done it yet? And maybe it's because they don't want to be seen as the big guy coming in and muscling out the little guy, which in this case now would be the NWHL. I'm trying to piece together in my mind, and I think, Steve, you hit on something there, is this can't be a blind shot in the dark. There's got to be something that they know, right?
I think it's not just a blind shot in the dark. I think there's something they know for sure. But like within that statement, they talked about players making as little as $2,000. So they're not paid.
No, they're not.
Like that doesn't even count. No. Like if you're
That's
an
meals.
adult.
That's meals for what, a few months? Like if you're on the road especially, like
if all you eat is salad.
Yeah.
Like no, that's nothing. So I guess just the NWHL's mere existence wasn't enough justification for its existence, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. They're still going to be a thing, it sounds like, but these players, I guess, decided, you know what? There's so much... Whenever we talk about the two leagues, it's one now, officially, it always seems to be so chaotic. And I think maybe taking some time off, and, these are grown-ups who, a lot of them have to work day jobs, right?
Yep. Oh, yeah.
There's only so many hours in the day. And they're also the brightest women's hockey minds out there. And so maybe what they need is a little bit of calm and time to actually plan this thing out and figure it out. And it's something they just can't do training and playing.
Fair. Yeah.
I don't know. I'm literally just guessing. God, there's been so much going on. We didn't even talk about the CWHL last show because
they were auctioning off their trophies.
I was still confused about that.
Me too.
And
I didn't have
where the money was going, and they raised $88,000.
Where does that go?
Yeah, who is that to?
I think it goes towards paying off whoever they already had to pay off. But I'm also like $88,000. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
And like they're hoping some of the artifacts memorabilia get donated to the Hockey Hall of Fame or whatever. I put a bid on something and I lost.
What'd you put a bid on?
It was 2014 All-Star Game jersey, the white one with the cool leaf. It was autographed by all the players. I wasn't going to keep it. I don't know what I was going to do with that. I was thinking about like giving it to a school in the Durham School Board or a local rink or something like that. I don't know what's going on. I think they do, and that's all that matters.
Well, and that exactly, and that's why I asked the question I asked when we got off the phone with Hailey. I don't understand how it helps them, not because what they're making is a bad decision. It's because that hasn't revealed itself yet. Does that make sense? That's the thing is like where this goes next. Is completely in their hands, which I think for the first time, if there's one thing you can say, this is taking control. There's the one thing that they have where they can say, well, we're the talent, so we're walking away from this, and at least they can control that. But I hope what happens here is that there is a, this is so much harder than it needs to be. How much does it really cost to put this together and make a product that, what was the Clarkson Cup final got 143,000 viewers on Sportsnet. That is enough, by the way, to make a profitable show. Like if you look at
TFC,
it's double TFC. TFC gets about 60,000.
Yeah, sometimes.
But the infrastructure for MLS is not
Is
comparable.
not comparable. No, but I mean, like in terms of TV ratings. So there's a sustainable.
That's a key word, man. Infrastructure.
There's a sustainable television model if you're looking for media dollars, though. It exists, and that would only grow. So now it's about where's the organization come from and how do they do that? And any league, if you look at the beginning of the NHL, absolutely crazy chaotic. So chaotic, but it was 100 years ago. So no one remembers it. But if you, the NHL formed because all the guys in the NHA hated the Toronto owner, and they're like, F this, we're leaving this league, and everybody can come except for him. And that's when they started the NHL.
Which was incidentally Adam Wilde.
Yes.
Yes.
It was me.
He was the owner. Yeah.
It was me, yeah. It was me. I was very upset. So it's one of those things that the beginning of any organization, new business, whatever, it's going to be chaotic. It's just that it's been 20 years of chaos, and I think it's time, we got to, let's put an end. It's not, we know what sports business models looks like. Let's just do it.
Also, the stand they're taking is still only half of the players. Because the NWHL still plans on playing.
It's the biggest ones, though, as Hailey pointed
but
out.
It's still split. There's still no one cohesive decision by all the players.
But it's imagine if the NHL came back and it was all minor league players or 95% minor
40
league
of
players.
the top 50 players aren't playing in it.
It would be the NHL in name only.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not the same thing. I'm not gonna lie, confused. But I'm interested to see what happens next because it finally seems like they're united.
And that's a good thing.
And they're what have I talked about before? They're fixing their shit. They have shit to fix and they're fixing it. They're fixing their shit. So you read all the usual comments when any women's sport of any kind come out, the lack of interest and the lack of dollar. I just don't believe it.
No, I don't believe that either.
It. There's plenty of evidence to suggest.
And nobody's suggesting that it's going to come in and rival the NHL in terms of revenue. No one has suggested that.
No, but it's going to have the chance of any startup sports league.
Yeah.
Right? And, they're looking for a handout. No, you just don't know anything about business. What wasn't The Athletic basically founded entirely on venture capital and losing a crap ton of money?
Yeah, that's what businesses work.
Yes.
Yeah, I believe that.
You fund businesses and then they make your profit back.
I think I start a business and the first year it makes lots of money.
No, you are in debt.
Not at all how it often works.
Shark Tank / Dragon's Den. You're looking for investors.
Yeah.
Like the TV show, that is, right? That's the most basic example I can give.
I thought you meant a literal Shark Tank.
I thought you meant where the sharks play.
Oh,
Shark Tank.
You see?
Was the SPA arena? SAP, I think it is.
Oh yeah,
SAP.
named after the
Because they
stats company.
sap your strength.
Oh,
You get in there.
Beat
Is it the stats
Avalanche.
company or the closed captioning company?
I don't know.
No, okay.
I'm not gonna lie.
Speaking of which, we need to make a hard turn here, but I want to award a crown. Crown Royal, Steve Dangle Podcast. You know we're partnered up.
What up?
And I think this crown will be unanimous, and I'm going to speak for both of you. And the reason I'm going to do that is because I believe that Curtis McElhinney absolutely wears the crown. After getting scored on, and Brock Nelson, by the way, you saw this,
Pats
tapped
his
him
head.
on the head, and the Carolina Hurricanes win the game. You want to talk about karma in sports? That's what Don Cherry's talking about when he's talking about the hockey gods.
Well, and, people talking about, if the Hurricanes sweep them, which, if anyone's going to beat the odds, it's the Islanders, for crying out loud.
Sure.
After this past season. But in the handshake line, McElhinney pats him on the head.
Oh.
And here's the thing. We'll all be thinking it. And Mac won't do it.
No,
Because
he's too nice.
he knows 5 words and speaks none of them ever. He just stops pucks. He's just some guy in his mid to late 30s who stops pucks.
He is now, he broke another record, by the way. He's now the oldest NHL goalie to make his debut and win it in the playoffs.
Now, that proves the Leafs are idiots? No.
No.
It is further evidence that what he is doing is strange.
Not the Leafs.
No,
Steve.
the Leafs
Just
could have
Kyle
seen this.
Dubas.
Just Kyle
It's
Dubas.
not the Leafs.
Because he's young and
What
also
did you
dumb.
think of the people who thought it should have been an unsportsmanlike penalty? The
No,
tap on
okay.
the head. I saw that.
Oh, I
So-
don't think so.
It's funny.
No.
There are there's fashion trends and there's like thought trends and there's also like complaint trends. And this year's hockey Twitter complaint trend is people pulling out the rule book and going, actually, in this, that, and whatever. And like most of the stuff I've seen has been, very baseline stuff like, cross-checking. Well, they just don't call cross-checking anymore and stuff like that. But there was the unsportsmanlike for the head tap.
Yeah.
And the other ridiculous one I saw was Justin Falk should have got a penalty for the goal where he caught the puck in the air.
Yeah, and he passed it to himself. Yeah.
He should have got a penalty for that thing that every player does ever. Really.
Yeah. The thing that's just kind of a part of hockey.
Brad Marchand punched a guy in the back of the head and got nothing for it. You think he's going to get something for taking the puck out of midair and then putting it down?
Yeah.
No, that's not good. In this, no, stop. It's not a thing, guys.
Now,
It's not
well,
a thing.
with that in mind, let's talk about the fact that Brad Marchand punched a guy in the back of the head at the end of the game.
I'm going to get screamed at on Sportsnet's YouTube channel.
Really?
We did Dang It's today, and I just skewered him.
Really?
I not skewered him, skewered the people defending him. Brad Marchand's job as a professional hockey player who makes a lot of money is to be the best professional hockey player he can be, to help his team win games, and therefore the Stanley Cup. That is his job. So he may be a rat when he gets on the ice, and people go, oh, he's dirty and he breaks the rules. Well, it is up to the rule enforcers to say whether or not he broke the rules. He punched someone in the back of the head at the end of the game that was deemed legal, essentially. It was fine. Okay, they would say, well, it was a missed penalty. Okay, fine. Well, then he got off scot-free. Funny how that so often happens. And people will say, oh, well, Marchand gets called for nothing, you say. Well, then explain the 6 suspensions and 3 fines.
Which Wyshynski pointed out.
Yes,
Greg
and to
Wyshynski.
that I would say he should have more.
And I don't think...
This isn't even the first time he punched an unsuspecting player in the head and got nothing for it.
I don't think even Boston fans would say he's been reprimanded enough. Like, I mean, like it's funny because that's not a stretch, man. Like, I think anybody who's watched Brad Marchand for any length of time, especially in the playoffs, would say he does get away with a lot. That's not smoke and mirrors. The guy is really good at it. And I've praised him for it before because it is an art. This is a person that, for some reason, there's certain people who can say anything, like South Park we talk about. South Park can do anything,
they just-
say anything, and no one complains.
People just decided, okay, this is the one show we don't.
But
say
if
anything
Family
for.
Guy did it, or if The Simpsons did it, or something like that, Simpsons did it, it would be a problem.
Family Guy's slowly getting into that territory.
For
'Cause
sure.
Sometimes they'll see a clip and they'll be like,
Family
what?
Guy Family Guy's
How are
getting
they
nuts.
still in the air?
How far into this conversation do we get until we get to talk about Jim Matheson?
Oh, I was going to start the show with that today, but no, we have to hold off on that. I was going to start the show with that today, but then the player thing broke with the CWHL players and the NWHL. So I was like, no, we can't. But wow, that guy is Christmas. Anyway, with Brad Marchand, I mean, what Gary Bettman said was that it was a missed penalty, but that doesn't make it a suspendable play. And I can't
Sorry,
say
Scott Harrington.
I don't.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, bud.
I can't say
Deal
I
with it.
hate that.
Yeah.
But what I loved about this was John Shannon coming on Twitter and saying, rest assured, This will be dealt with internally. And I thought, and I wrote back, I tweeted him like, I will neither rest nor be assured. And then today,
It's okay, guys. Russia has a hold of Putin.
Yeah.
What?
So
What incentive, what possible incentive do the Boston Bruins have in telling Brad Marchand to calm down?
So here's
Are you
how-
nuts?
so you wanna
Are
hear-
you that daft?
are so here's how Bruce Cassidy's dealing with it internally. He spoke publicly about it today.
Wow.
He said, you're going to take penalties through the course of the game if you're competing. Marshy will do that on pucks.
Steve stood up.
You're not even ready for the quote that ends this thing. You're not even ready. That's child's play. Get ready, pal. Those ones are sort of called away from the play, maybe, and we got to talk to him about those. We got to keep him on the right side of the line. That's how I deal with it as a coach. Remind him how valuable he is to the team, and that it's playoff hockey, and that your name and number is circled in the other locker room. We got to get this guy off his game. What does that mean? It means you're one of the better players. If you weren't a good player, they wouldn't be targeting you. He's got to find that balance on the ice, and this is the icing on the cake. I talked about saying, rest assured that Boston will deal with this internally. Bruce Cassidy said, we've been dealing with this for a long time. This isn't just me saying, hey, Marshy, knock it off. It doesn't work that way. He's got to find it in himself. So if you're keeping track...
You delusional liar! Oh my God!
So the NHL won't hold him accountable. The Bruins won't hold him accountable. The coach won't hold him accountable. He's supposed to hold himself accountable, but he can't. Because that's
Okay.
Because he's not.
You have to give Bruce Cassidy
Like,
some
that's
credit.
Amazing.
No, because
I
that's
absolutely
like,
do not, but continue.
Because that's the one guy who's supposed to defend his player no matter what.
Yes,
you
100%.
can't expect him to go out there and be honest about the situation. He's the head coach. It's like your parent. Your parent in front of your teacher is gonna defend you, even though you were clearly in the wrong and shouldn't have hit Susie in the head. Your parent's still gonna go out there and be like, "No, he's a good kid." It's your coach. But all the other
my
nonsense.
wife loves that shit. Kindergarten teacher. Oh, she loves that shit.
Yeah.
I know all evidence suggests. Anyway.
But it's like that, you know? But all the other nonsense is nonsense.
Like literally when he licked Leo Konrad
The
last
kid
year.
thing is more concerning because it's like you're not going for a Stanley Cup. You're trying to raise a child. Anyway.
When he licked Leo Konrad last year.
Wait, was that the first or second lick? Oh, it was the first lick. Sorry. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
They probably just
No,
went
it's okay. They addressed it internally after the first one. Anyway, go ahead and talk about the first lick. The first lick that came before the second lick. Go ahead.
Bruce Cassidy
Go ahead,
was like,
talk about it.
hey, Brad, you're a really valuable member of our team. Mm-hmm. It would
You know how you licked the guy 3 minutes into the Stanley Cup playoffs? Maybe don't do that. 3 minutes. It was like his first shift. Sorry, go ahead.
If Brad Marchand was a Leaf, you would love him.
Okay, have you heard me talk about Nazem Kadri on this show?
Yeah. You hate him and
I
you love
assure
him.
you I would not.
You hate him and you love him. But Brad Marchand it didn't cost anybody any games here. If anything,
No,
he did
they'd
the
already
right
lost
thing.
at that point.
Yeah.
Okay, here's the thing.
And he didn't get a penalty or suspended.
But this is the thing. He is smart enough
Because
to
the NHL
he rides that
is a
line.
away with it.
rinky-dink joke of a league. Oh, you can't suspend a guy for punching a guy in the back of the head. It's not in the rules.
Yeah.
Well, maybe you have a bullshit road warrior ass league. Oh. Hey, playoff hockey, bud. Hey, man up. And this is what I said in the video today.
Did you make a video on this?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, on the Dangits?
On Sportsnet. It's
On
in
the Dangits, yeah.
I go, here's Brad Marchand punching Scott Harrington in the back of the head. And then we show it. And I go, I'm sorry. So anyway, here's Brad Marchand punching Scott Harrington in the back of the head. And then we show it again. I go, sorry. So anyway, for the third time, here's Brad Marchand punching Scott Harrington in the back of the head. And so we show it again. And I go, for everyone defending this, saying, oh, playoff hockey, oh, man up. I go, is this your king? And I show it over and over again. Everyone say it, man up. Oh, really? Your mascot is the guy who punched someone who was on their knees in the back of the head and then skated away? That's your mascot of manhood? I just want to scream. I just want to scream at people.
Well, that's
Men don't know what being a man is, and I'm so sick of it. It bends and it changes with the wind. What being a man is. Being a man, a big burly playoff hockey man, is finding a guy, carefully checking to see the ref is not looking, identifying a player on their knees, coming up from behind them, punching them in the back of the head, and then running away?
You witless gits! Are you serious? Punish this guy! Punish it! We've made so much progress with this sport. Oh, let the players police themselves. They still have to because the league is useless. Officiating, it's a working friggin' vacation for these guys. Every now and then they, Essel Lindell dive. And, and they come in there and they make a little call every now and then. Someone tell the refs in the Dallas-St. Louis series to stop working so hard. Ugh. What are they? They're calling the rules and shit. Oh, boring. I want to see playoff hockey where guys get punched in the back of the head. I want to see what? What? Oh, you don't? What are you laughing for? You don't? Man up, Jesse. Real men like traumatic blows to the head. And this is the NHL talking out of both sides of their mouth. We suspend hits to the head. Punches to the head are perfectly fine. Kick rocks. You bunch of delusional cavemen. I'm so sick of being told what it is to be a man. You're an idiot. You're an idiot. Just say you watch people punching people. And then go watch that shit. You know what exists? By the bushel. There's boxing. There's kickboxing. There's taekwondo. There's MMA. There's professional wrestling if you like a little drama to it. And you can have a nice Chardonnay while you watch it. This is hockey. And it became a sport in 1995, basically. This is your king. The guy who punches people and runs. You're a loser. What?
Can I read something?
Please.
Go ahead.
It says, maybe I'm old school, but all he did was punch a guy in the back of the head.
You are!
I'm sorry, but that's really funny.
What did he tweet that from one of those bikes with the giant wheel at the front? Yes, you're old school in thinking that.
Hold on.
What cave did he carve that into?
Hey, has anybody ever tweeted ever, maybe I'm old school and not been old school?
Maybe I'm old school, but followed by some really old shit.
But Queen Victoria is the best queen.
Oh,
Can I finish the tweet?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'll restart it. It
maybe
says,
I'm old school, but these muskets are cumbersome.
That's funny.
Jesus!
It says, maybe I'm old school, but all he did was punch a guy in the back of the head. Lots more mayhem than that in these games.
That is 4 months of coverage if it happens to McDavid, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
And by the way...
Is that Maddie?
That's NHL by Maddie.
Yeah, and okay, so next season, someone punches Connor McDavid in the back of the head, and then Edmonton media goes into full spontaneous combustion because when they ask the player about it after the game, he says Jim Matheson said it was okay. I didn't read about it on Twitter. I don't have Twitter. Call me old school.
Actually,
Men frigging stink.
can I just throw this out there too? Jim Matheson never needs to tweet, maybe I'm old school. Jim Matheson's old school. You don't need to qualify it, Jim.
Maybe I'm old school. Maybe I'm old school followed by progressive thought. Never, not once. This is your king. I cannot believe the amount of people defending this shit.
I think you're right.
Oh, well, you know what? It's clearly not a suspension. Maybe it should be.
Oh, God.
Are you out of your...
Don't throw things.
That was a drink with too much froth, and I did not realize it.
You know,
okay,
what I would say is it's very interesting that the idea that tough playoff hockey is a guy on his knees at the end of the game getting punched in the back of the head. Not
even at the end of the game. There was a minute left in a one-goal game. This is Brad Marchand's MO. He tried to get the coincidental. That happened last year when the Leafs were up 1 goal. They were up 3-2 in Game 3 in 2018 on home ice. Morgan Riley, their best defender, Brad Marchand, starts swinging at him like he's friggin' Star Wars, and he gets a coincidental, and the Leafs' best player gets off the ice. That's his MO. It's what he does. Oh, what did I say? Well, I tweeted this during Game 7 after Zdeno Chara suckered John Tavares. Another Bruins penalty that went uncalled, by the way. Color me surprised. Is that scrum was the Bruins in a nutshell. Brad Marchand starts a scrum and evaporates disappears, gone, lost from the history books forever. Zdeno Chara comes in and goons someone, and his teammates come in and join him because Daddy gave them permission. And Patrice Bergeron helps a downed opponent because he's a gorgeous human being. He's the only Bruin I stand.
Do you not?
All of the rest of them can kick rocks.
Do you not then think that Brad Marchand deserves a ton of credit for being able to get away from it at least?
Yes. No, like, okay.
Like, here's what I respect. I don't respect the play. I respect.
Safety calls him sir.
He's in.
Are you kidding?
He's in their head.
Who's?
Brad is.
I know he's in Scott Harrington's, if that's what you're referring to.
He's in the NHL player
With his
safety
fist.
department's head.
He's fist deep in Scott Harrington's head, if that's what you mean. Sorry, what'd you say?
Well,
Whose head is he in?
let's
Like, mentally, you mean?
Can I just?
Well, they're losing. So I don't know.
Can we just hang on for just a second here?
What?
Hold back
All
for
right.
just a
I'm
second.
on coffee 3. No one's beating me on this shit.
I want to throw this scenario at you.
Okay.
I want you to imagine for a second.
Yeah, maybe you're old school.
Maybe I'm old.
Maybe
school.
you're old school, followed by, I can't wait to hear this progressive thought.
What's Boston to the NHL in America?
What do you mean?
Hockey town.
Well, yeah,
That's
they
Detroit,
are one of the premier markets.
No,
Yeah.
I think Detroit is hockey town.
Yeah.
And Boston's hockey town.
There you go.
Well, except that's
good.
Yinzer.
So what is Boston to NBC's coverage?
Very important.
Bingo.
Yeah. Money is what they
If-
are.
I don't believe this for a second. what
Now,
you're about to
no.
say.
What are you about?
No.
I
But
don't
here's
believe
what
this
the
for a
argument would
second.
be in Canada. I'm just throwing this
For
out
what?
there as a hypothetical. If Brad
Okay.
Marchand was a Toronto Maple Leaf and pulling this stuff, the argument would be,
He'd be an
well,
LA King by
player safety is based in Toronto, and they're all Leafs fans. I'm actually really surprised that because of Boston, and listen, Boston, Chicago, Pittsburgh, New York, you know what's up. You know
Those are
that
the
you're the
major
favorite
ones.
markets. We saw Pierre Maguire tapping Brad Marchand on the butt last year. Jesse and I both saw it.
Oh.
We know they're friends.
Despicable.
It is one of those things where I look at it and go, how is nobody getting their tinfoil hats out and going, they just don't want to suspend Brad Marchand because he's a draw for the games.
And they had no,
And he
they had
is.
no problem suspending Cooch.
Well, and
They
this
had no problem
and
suspending the guy who's
and
going
not
to win
for a
league
second,
MVP.
and not for a second do I believe that is the case. However, if Brad Marchand was a Toronto Maple Leaf, you better believe the rest of Canada would be saying it.
Oh, for sure.
Like
I
I
mean,
just know that it would.
Listen, the Jeremy Jacobs has the league wrapped around his little finger, but I'm not going to pull out this tinfoil hat thing. I just think they suck at what they do, and the sport's not done yet. It's not done. Well, they'd have to change the rule. Well, I suppose you should do that. What the trapezoid didn't used to be a thing, and the puck over the glass penalty didn't used to be a thing, and review didn't used to be a thing. And the blue lines, they moved them a few years ago. No one really gave a shit. And the 2-line pass rule, they decided, wait, this is stupid. So they changed the rules and got rid of it. What? You mean to tell me you can find stupid things in your game and then change it? What kind of bullshit knew it? Call me old school. But I liked when they played with cow shit. Clap shit bombs like a man. You know, and while we're at it, take away the forward pass. I like a nice, slow, backwards game
Which was the thing as well.
Rugby, hockey.
by some guy whose first name is Puxatani or some shit. Odie Cleghorn. I want to see that. Yes, what? What?
Is it time to get rid of the ability to fight in a game or punch people? Because if you punch people in any of the other 3 major sports, you're suspended. You can't punch people. Should hockey not have punching?
Like, okay, if Serge Ibaka punched someone
In the back
which
of the
he
head.
often does,
He's gone for like 10 games.
and, yeah, but they missed it. So, like, let's say he punches someone and then he's allowed to
Sure.
play the final minute of the game because they missed it.
Sure.
They're not going to be like, whoop,
No, see,
because we missed it.
Different sport.
First of all, they would never miss it in game because you can review things like that. If somebody gets punched, then there's going to be like some sort of melee because it's basketball and people don't just get punched.
Right.
And once there's a melee that'll result in a flagrant foul, officials can go to the scorer's table and review it. So you would see it on there, and then you'd be kicked out of the game, and then there'd be a subsequent suspension.
Please continue.
There you go.
Trying.
Well, and who was it? Ken Campbell, who was like, we don't want this to turn into the NBA. No, we don't want this to turn into any of the sports. any of the sports. Don't just say NBA. Can you punch a player
Hey,
in baseball?
question.
Can you punch a player in football?
If we
Can
flew-
you punch a player? What?
Hold on. If we not flew, because
By the way, football, a man's sport.
because Connor McDavid spends his
Allegedly.
time in the summer in Toronto, a real
Sure.
city.
Wow. Wow, Adam. Let's piss everyone off.
I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
And the New Jerseys are crap. No, they're sexy.
The new Oilers jerseys are actually sick.
They're really nice
But
jerseys.
if we went to Connor McDavid's house and said, please, Connor, there's something you need to see off in the distance, but you have to get on your knees to see it and look the other way. So you can see what we're
And
seeing.
he agreed to
but
that
you're
for
too
some
tall,
reason.
so you need to come down a little bit. And then we punched him in the back of the head. How do you think the police would react to that? Like, it is a little
Well,
weird.
It's a little different.
But
than
it's a
the
little
rules.
weird. It is a little weird that we're just
Yeah.
like that is. I mean, like Steve has a point. Punching someone in the back of the head, being, oh, that's just a thing.
Yeah.
is odd. That is weird.
It should be a suspendable offense. Why
But it's
is it
not.
not?
Yeah, so here we are. I had to scream and yell for a long time to get all that out.
Yeah.
It comes down to something very simple. It simply is not a suspension
It's not.
in this league.
Because it's not in the rule book?
And people, right. And
Yeah.
people have said, well, it's not a suspension. Make it one.
yeah.
Or your league sucks. And if you don't make it one, are you defending? No. You should be allowed. Listen, what's a punch to the back of the head every now and then? Are you a dick? Are you? No. Listen, that'll be the last straw. I'll stop watching. When did hockey become flag football? He punched a downed player in the back of the head. Stop defending this cowardly shit and make it illegal. I'm not even taking fighting away from you. Because at least fighting, you have two people staring at each other. This is worse than that.
When was the last time Brad Marchand actually fought? Do we know?
His fight card's sparse.
Well, of course it is.
He's had to fight, and he has fought, but his fight
Because
card's sparse.
if it were to happen and Zdeno Chara steps in, like
he
that's
doesn't
why
have to fight. You know how
He
many
doesn't.
fights Brad Marchand has caused that he had nothing to do with? How many times Zdeno Chara and Sean Thornton and Adam McQuaid? Oh, he's a warrior, though. You see that thing of him before Game 7? He's friggin' dialed in. Yeah, he's just thinking about all the backs of heads he's going to punch. Frig off. Get lost. This should be the handshake meme. People who think fighting should still be in the game, people who think it should be taken out, making punches to the back of the head illegal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't understand. What's being defended here? What's being defended other than your joke idea of
Now,
a shit sport?
before Bruins fans get on us for being, Scarred Leaf fans, which we are.
Of course.
Even Pete Blackburn was like, dude, you can't do that. Like, you cannot do that.
Brad Marchand's greatest hits have not come against the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Oh, no.
What's the word? He licked Leo Komarov. And, is generally annoying.
Got Kadri to cross-check him. Cross-check the play.
That was
was
DeBrusque.
That
No,
was Jake
but
DeBrusque.
Brad Marchand was going at him all game.
Yeah, I'm sure he added
Yeah, but
to the fire.
going at him is fine.
All right.
I mean, you can be a pesky asshole.
Yeah,
But,
which he's the best at.
Yeah. Well, and lost in the. So this was pointed out to me when I was doing the Dang It's video today. So remember. Sorry.
step
I didn't realize your foot was there. Remember he stepped on Cam. Yeah, it didn't feel good. Well, Brad Marchand did that. He stepped on Cam Atkinson's skate. Or not skate.
His stick.
He stepped on his stick and broke it. Which already delay a game penalty, but whatever. It's Brad Marchand. They don't call it. When Cam Atkinson goes off the ice to fix his stick, fix his stick. It's
Get a
not like
new
they
one.
replaced it. He got a new one.
Yeah.
Comes back in the ice. Marchand swings his stick and sticks him in the neck.
Funny.
And that was funny. Funny. Oh, no, and this is the thing. This is the argument pro diving. This is the argument. So Essa Lindell, what he did with Robert Bertuzzo was friggin' disgraceful, and I don't know if we're going to get into that. That was disgraceful.
We talked about
did
that
that,
last
like,
episode.
for did we?
half an
Where we
hour.
defended Robert Bertuzzo.
Do you remember?
Right, yeah. Sorry. It was
Which-
Olympic diving on ice, and it cost him the game at the end. Looks good on him. Good. But, Harrington should have wore, one of those foam things around his neck to practice the next day. Atkinson should have gone down like he'd been shot.
Sure.
Because, they're not going to help you. They're simply not.
you're going to have to beat him on your own.
When
Like,
Brad Marchand
it's such a
retires, and 20 years from now, we're looking back on his career. I think we're gonna look back on it fondly. I think he's gonna be a folk hero for all of this.
He's
stuff
going to the he's going to the Hall of Fame.
He's going to the Hall of Fame, and people are gonna be telling stories about Brad Marchand forever.
Oh, and they're gonna bring out, here he is, and here's a little fluff piece we wrote about him.
Oh, yeah.
And here's him doing something nice with a fan. No, he was a dangerous rat of a player, hell bent on hurting people.
No, but you're gonna look back on that fondly. He's gonna be a folk hero.
The last 3 years, he's had 85, 85, and 100 points.
He's a Hall of Famer.
Well, he's not yet. He's not
yet.
He's had a good run.
He's going to be.
He may be. He's had a good run. If he keeps it up, he will.
Give him some credit.
Although he was shooting
He's a great
18%
player.
last year. Holy
As
moly.
Jason York said, it's not the Hockey Hall of very good.
All right.
He's on track to be a very, very, very good player.
Top 100 all time.
Yes.
Well,
How many 30-goal seasons does he have?
in
Has
the
he
last...
passed Jonathan Taves yet?
Yes.
I'm sure he will.
1, 2, 3, 4.
We got to retroactively
Four in a row?
Wow, we got to
Yeah.
kick Jonathan Taves off the list. He got it in a row. PK's got to go. Make room for Brad. Punch them both in the back of the head off the list.
Everybody kept tweeting the Homer gif when he punches Lenny in the back of the head. Ow! He spits out the coffee. That's Taves getting kicked off the list.
Is this your king, everybody? Is this your king?
Now,
If I was a Boston fan, that's my king.
okay, now let's... by the way, I guess we didn't complete the... so I guess we gave Curtis McElhinney the Crown Royal crown, and then we asked everybody else, is this your Crown Royal crown with Brad Marchand? Because we didn't wrap up the segment, so I should say...
I give the crown to Scott Harrington.
when you're watching Puck Drop...
His
why
team
not,
won that game. I
why
give the
not-
crown to Scott Harrington.
When you're watching Puck Drop, why not consider a Crown Royal? It's delicious.
Yeah.
Just saying.
It packs a punch.
How you doing?
I'm doing fine.
Yeah, you good?
Why, do I seem bothered?
No, we got a lot to do, and there's some stuff to do. I was not planning for a
How
20
long did
minute.
I do that?
Well, we're 48 minutes into the show. Can you believe that?
Well, I sort of blacked out.
I know.
Whoa.
It's yeah. Well done.
I don't know. I just listen. A shitheel player doing shitheel things that's their job. I hardly even blame Brad Marchand for it.
He's the last one you can blame for it.
Honestly, yeah. Like hockey players lose their temper and do stupid shit. Mm-hmm. It happens in all professional sports, and like usually after the game, they go, "Oh, sorry, I didn't even mean to do it." Marchand said it's playoff hockey, which screw him for that.
So did Harrington, though.
Because what's he gonna say? That's the culture. What's he gonna say? Oh, it doesn't matter.
Well, because if he does say I didn't like it, then people are gonna go, "Oh, you big baby."
he could have been like, "I'm
tough it
dizzy
up."
and spitting blood," and people would be like, "Man up, playoff hockey. How are you gonna survive the next 2 rounds if you make it?" Like it's the culture. He can't complain about it.
So moving on.
The people defending him, I can't wrap my head around it.
Moving on from that, because you're
And I'm
right.
sure once I do wrap my head around it, someone will punch me in the back of it.
Let's talk about our king. Who is our... Jesse just punched Steve in the back of the head. Let's talk about our king.
Playoff podcasting.
We have a king, and his name is Jim Matheson.
Yeah.
Yay!
Did you read your one Jim Matheson tweet, or have you another?
There's another, but that was the one about Marchand.
Okay,
so go
well,
ahead.
this is the one about today. And I like the
happened
one about
today?
today. Now, if you look at Jim Matheson's tweets, they're very interesting because it's like he is one of those guys that he's like a baseball player that hits like 100, like .100, like 1 in 10 hits.
Okay.
Like where he hits, 1 in 10 at bats.
So he's a pitcher in the National League.
Yeah, he's an awful hitter, but when he hits it, it's a dinger. Like it is a third deck dinger out of the park.
I think
gone.
he's on a bit of a heater.
Well, here, if you look at his tweets, though, if he's tweeting about the Islanders or whatever, it's like no replies, no retweets, no likes. And then all of a sudden you'll come across something like this, where it has 15 retweets, 165 likes, and 181 replies.
He only swings when he knows it's a home run.
Well, no, he doesn't do that, though. But he does swing it. He occasionally hits a fastball, and it's unbelievable. And
He's Justin Smoke.
Yeah.
He'll hit 25 home runs with a 250 batting average.
He's end of career
That's
Mark
generous.
McGuire.
But yeah. So today we found out that Kelly McCrimmon was promoted to be the the Vegas Golden Knights GM. George McPhee stepping up and also aside, I guess you could say, because they want to keep the team together. They've done a great job in the last 3 years of putting this team together with our good friend, former general manager man, what's his name?
Tom Parashka.
I knew it was Tom. I just always forget his last name.
Tom,
who came on this show and gave us a great interview years ago.
Yes.
Can you believe that was years ago, by the way? That was like 4 years ago.
He got hired
like right after.
Not long after.
Unbelievable. Anyway, Jim Matheson says this before the Kelly McCrimmon stuff comes out.
Before.
The whole GM search has been handled poorly. You don't say. Edmonton handling something poorly.
Call me old school.
They've left their interim GM Keith Gretzky twisting in the wind while Bob Nicholson interviews a cast of other candidates.
He has him in his top.
Tell him he's in or he's out. That's the tweet. I'm going to read it to you one more time, and then I will let you comment. The whole GM search has been handled poorly. They've left their interim GM, Keith Gretzky, twisting in the wind while Bob Nicholson interviews a cast of other candidates. Tell him he's in or he's out. Now, color me weird, but interim GM usually means you're not the GM, right? It means you're the GM in the interim.
Usually means sort of GM for now.
Yes.
But that doesn't sound as official. They can't be like Keith Gretzky, sort of GM for now. They have to call him interim GM.
And Bob Nicholson did say to the season ticket holders and to the press after the game or after the season was over that he was going to be interviewing 30 different people.
Big old bunch.
And then they cut it down to 10. And then they were down to 3 last we heard, and now it's down to 2 because Kelly McCrimmon is out because he was promoted. Jim does understand the interim tag or doesn't? And 2, is he on Keith Gretzky's payroll?
Oh, for sure.
Like what possible?
At least he doesn't count towards the cap.
How does this benefit Jim Matheson by tweeting this?
He did follow it up with 2 more tweets about Keith.
Oh.
Because one tweet about Keith Gretzky isn't enough.
Thank goodness. And did he tweet it in a thread?
No.
No.
Because he's old. He said, again, Oilers should be letting interim GM Keith Gretzky, who's been running the store for 2.5 months, whether he's in it or out. You missed a word there. Don't leave him in the cold. That's not right.
Wait. It's the same tweet.
Say that one more time,
It's the
Jesse.
same tweet, but different.
Yes. So he says, again, Oilers should be letting interim GM Keith Gretzky, who's been running the store for 2.5 months, whether he's in or out. Don't leave him in the cold. That's not right.
Okay, can you line up those 2 tweets and read them back to back?
Let me scroll
It's tough because they're not as, attached. They're not part of a thread.
1 second.
What confuses me is he even starts the tweet with again. It's print. You
So
can
the first
read
one-
the first one again.
Well, print sometimes is basically writing your point 5 times over and
I
then
guess.
calling it an article.
The first one that Adam read is, this whole GM search has been handled poorly. They've left their interim GM, Keith Gretzky, twisting in the wind while Bob Nicholson interviews a cast of other candidates. Tell him he's in or he's out. Second tweet. Again, Oilers should be letting interim GM Keith Gretzky, who's been running the store for 2.5 months, know whether he's in or he's out. Don't leave him in the cold. That's not right.
Third tweet. Keith Gretzky should be made aware by the Edmonton Oilers whether or not he is GM.
Hold on. What does the third tweet say?
The third tweet is, if Mark Hunter is man for Oilers, could Kay Gretzky be assist GM, looking after amateur side, and Sean Burke, Habs pro scout, a GM, looking after pros? So that was the third tweet.
They're best friends, I think. I'm pretty. That's odd, right?
Are they married?
That is.
They must be married.
I don't know.
Like, I'm married, and my wife would not sing my praises that much. Like, even my wife would not.
I love this man. Wait, have we ever seen Jim Matheson and Terrell Owens' agents
in the same
room at the same time? I don't know.
What's his name?
I love this man.
What is his name?
Oh, the guy who was in Terrell
Is it Drew Rosenhaus?
Was it Drew Rosenhaus? I don't think so.
It looks like he looks
I feel like it's Drew Rosenhaus.
Is it?
Who's the guy with the insufferable sports business tweets? Who I definitely muted.
Sports business tweets.
You mean Darren Ravel?
Yes.
It was Drew Rosenhaus.
Yes.
Yeah, you're right.
He looks like
I
Darren
forgot
Ravel,
Tom
though.
Parashka's last name, but at least I remember Drew Rosenhaus. Sorry,
Yeah,
Tom.
he does look like Darren Ravel.
That video of Darren Ravel running is very good.
He's good at it. Like, he's good at making himself go viral for looking dumb.
Yeah, he sure is.
I give him the credit.
I never get the impression he's in on it, but he must be.
He's in.
Yeah.
He's in on it.
He knows.
He's just a method actor. He's really good at it. He's the Daniel Day-Lewis of running.
Of media guys looking dumb doing sports things.
Yeah. You know what? He's my mentor. That's slowly becoming my thing. Commercial with Savvy. I did some curling. Ooh, I'm sore because I went to the gym yesterday.
Don't care.
No,
Wow.
Just kidding.
because
I'm kidding.
why don't you just punch me in the back of the head there, Brad? Why don't you just... What do you think my name is? Scott Harrington?
Hold on.
Adam, you can't hit me that hard unless it's the last minute of an NHL game. What are you doing? Are you going to play the friggin' Armageddon music like you did for DJ?
How many places
What?
in North America can you punch a guy in the back, an unsuspecting man in the back of the head, and there be no consequences?
Okay, an NHL ice surface,
One.
that's the end of the list.
Because
You're
at
not
least
allowed to do it.
at
You're
least
not
in
allowed to do
MMA,
it.
you know.
In MMA,
No, you're not allowed to do
punching
it
to the back of the head is illegal.
Oh.
In the UFC.
Yeah.
So
Okay, so the list is an NHL ice surface.
I think
That's it.
That's
I'm
it.
pretty sure that's it.
Everywhere else, there's consequences.
And that's what makes hockey special. That's why I watch the games. It's not the games. It's the after and in between the whistles when they sort of glove punch and face wash each other. That's
Yeah.
why I'm watching.
Oh wait, no, sorry. If you're fighting for your life, so an NHL ice service,
self-defense.
or if someone is like literally trying to mug you.
But that's not. But there's consequences to that.
Oh, I suppose. What is there illegal activity going
Well,
on?
in Canada, unfortunately, if someone assaults you and you assault them back, even if it's in self-defense, you can still be charged. Yep. In the US of A, it's a little bit different.
Let's try it. I'm gonna go outside and talk some mad shit. let's see. I'm gonna go be a rat.
There's
I'm
been
gonna go
some-
throw on a Bruins jersey.
There's been some pretty shitty cases involving that in
that's
Canada.
not fun.
Yeah, it's not cool. They're working on
Why did I have to bring it there?
They're working on wording that law, I believe. Anyway.
Anyway, an NHL ice service, and for the sake of funniness, end of list.
So Kelly McCrimmon.
No, the reason I told you I went to the gym, Dick, is because I'm going to be doing the draft combine in Buffalo. I'm going to be doing like
Oh,
what
okay.
they make the players do.
That's cool.
You're going to Darren Ravel this.
Yes.
This is gonna be
I'm
great.
scared though because so
You're going to run the 40, do the box jump.
no, okay, so what they have they have bench press, they have pull-ups, they have the barf bike, which is my nemesis. Like I'm so scared of doing the barf bike. There's this like flexibility one I already know I'm gonna like literally fall over. I think they have the long jump, the high jump, and I don't know what else they have. I want to say they used to have like a grip test or something like that.
yeah.
But yeah, so I'm gonna die. No, I was going to the gym all the time, and I've been to the gym twice since hurting my back last spring. One of those 2 times was yesterday, so I'm gonna try to go at least 3 or 4 times a week until the draft combine later this month in Buffalo.
Yeah, so it's this month? May?
It's like May 30th. It's
Okay.
it's a month from now.
I feel like all the personal trainers listening are going to be like, "Ooh, Steve, you maybe wanted to start your homework early."
Oh, I know. I feel.
I can't wait till you wreck your back again.
Yeah, this
Me
is a
too.
great way to wreck your back. Go from 0 to fucking 4 times a week, 6 times a week. Yeah, that's great.
Well, and the scary thing is, so it's probably the fitness test video shoot, whatever, for me, is going to happen before I actually got to do like interviews on the Saturday. So like if I wreck myself during the fitness thing, I'm going to be walking around like, well, here, let me talk to Jack Hughes. Hold my mic up to him because I'm crouching down, and then he punches me in the back of the head. And the Bruins go, we trade up to first.
We
That's
must
how it
have
goes.
Jack Hughes.
We must have Jack Hughes.
So Kelly McCrimmon.
What about him?
Are we done with Jim Matheson?
Oh, is there more?
No, those are
No, but the reason I brought up Jim Matheson is it's in reference to what happened in Edmonton today. Because what happened in Edmonton is someone not coming to Edmonton. Kelly McCrimmon had the chance to be the GM of the team with the LeBron of hockey. And he said, no thanks.
Nah.
I think it was like Sid Sixero that had like a tweet that was basically like the
Sid
best.
Sixero criticized the Oilers?
The best player on earth, and the guy's like, yeah, no thanks. Like it's gonna be a challenging job. Now they say Mike Fuda from LA is still in it. Is Mike Fuda just a guy that he's like the chicken of, like, you just throw him into every dish? Like, he's been in Buffalo, he was in on Carolina last season, he was in on whoever else was looking for a GM.
It's like all the old Jeopardy sketches from Saturday Night Live. Potent potables. Like, he's just always in there.
Always in there.
Mike Fuda is potent potables.
But if you're Kelly McCrimmon, you got a team that's a playoff team that was basically, a few minutes away from the second round.
Haunting.
And then you could go to Edmonton and potentially ruin your reputation. Because I would imagine that staying in Vegas would be a lot more attractive at this point. And my question is going to be, whoever takes that GM post, and if it's Keith Gretzky, we know the answer. Whoever takes that post, I want to know if they've got control. If it's Keith Gretzky, I know that he won't.
Yep.
If it's Keith Gretzky, it's because everybody else said, I want control, and they said, nope.
Yep.
And then they all said, then we're not taking it.
Why wouldn't a GM who wants to win it all want to be Connor McDavid's GM? Now, I know all the theories that are always out there. I'm going to go out on a limb and say Kelly McCrimmon could afford a house in Edmonton with a furnace and a nice jacket. So maybe if it's not the weather, it's something else.
And I said it last episode, and I want to repeat it again. Talk about the Oilers making the playoffs or whatever, ever being striking distance of the Stanley Cup. Connor McDavid, I'm convinced, needs to ask for a trade. And he should ask for it sooner rather than later. And the reason he needs to is not because, who cares what his PR looks like? If he wants to win, he needs to get out. And the reason is this management crew might be able to get him to the playoffs. But there is no chance that this group of people, with the way that they think, are going to make enough correct decisions in a row for this team to be a legitimate Stanley Cup contender ever again until they clear house.
See,
and guess
you keep
what?
saying that, man.
When they do that, even if they cleaned house today, even if they did it today, they are still at least 2 years out.
Adam, I think you're forgetting that in the NHL, you can dumb luck into a good playoff run.
Yep. You can get a goalie we've never heard of, and with the best player in the world. All of a sudden, you've won the first round, and now it's a shit show.
And I had Oilers fans in my DMs going, I agree 100%, and I had other Oilers fans going, no, you're being unfair to Mikko Koskinen. His load was too much. Yes. More than one. Several.
Sure.
I have to tell you guys.
It doesn't have to be Mikko Koskinen. It could be anybody.
Well, it does with the contract, because no one's taking it. Unless you trade Mikko Koskinen for Nikita Zaitsev.
As a Leaf fan, I would never do that trade.
No. I look at this situation, and I always look at it like there's a reason that people are in the situations they're in, and I hate to say it this way, but sometimes, people are like, I'm always single. Well, sometimes there's a reason. Sometimes it's
I
you.
always miss the playoffs.
Sometimes you're the common denominator. And those guys are I'm always single.
I just need someone who can handle me,
Yeah, right? Handle my truth. I need someone who can handle my truth. No, you're just an asshole. No, I'm being myself.
I need someone who can handle how insufferable I am.
Yeah,
Sorry,
exactly.
I need my truth.
Yeah, it couldn't be that you're an asshole. It couldn't be that. No. It's because nobody can handle your truth. Bullshit. And the Oilers are that. The Oilers do not have... And you know what? I hope they're listening. I hope they're pissed off about it, and I hope they actually maybe change their thinking, but they won't, because now that I've said it, and if they're listening, they'll double down. They'll double down, and there'll be more them.
Yeah.
And I can't wait. Chaos, baby. Let's go.
Time to fight fire with fire.
We know.
What's all this smoke?
We know that there are people over there that don't like us, and are upset.
Well, and an interesting thought. So you said there's two people left. Are you under the assumption that it's Keith Gretzky and Mark Hunter?
No, I think it was Keith. Wasn't it Fuda, Gretzky? No. Well, I don't actually think Keith Gretzky's in the running.
Oh.
And I don't even think that's what's being reported. It's
so
like
Fuda, Hunter?
Fuda, Hunter, and I guess there's someone else.
Might have been McCrimmon until this afternoon.
Well, it was McCrimmon, but I believe there was it was 3-4 names. But once McCrimmon was out, for some reason a third name was added to it. It really doesn't matter because we don't know much about what these guys are outside of what they've been in assistant GM roles.
Because, I think we've been critical of Mark Hunter. And, we've talked about it before. It's what the whole Federer-Gerdiev, we need Federer Eve, because we don't actually know what Hunter did and didn't call for when he was Leafs assistant general manager. But what I've always said about the Hunter brothers is they're used to having control. Dale Hunter did his thing in Washington. I guess it wasn't for him. Went back to London. Mark Hunter did his thing with the Leafs, and he's this highly touted guy. And he goes back to the Knights because why not? Why not? He's in charge there. And he'll take an NHL position, I'm sure, if it's the right fit, because he doesn't need to. Dude, he's done well for himself.
Sure.
He doesn't need to take anything he doesn't want to. So you think he's going to go to Edmonton with anything less than 100% control?
That's why I will know.
I don't think so, man.
You will know. We will know by the end of all of this whether or not the GM has control. We will know. We'll know by who gets hired. Because Mike Fuda sure as hell is not going to go unless he gets full control. And that was the reason he turned down the Carolina job. That and they wanted to pay him like half his current salary. We know that why, same thing in Buffalo. Why wasn't that the same reason Botterill ended up there? Is there was supposed to be some sort of control issues, and they wanted somebody else, and they ended up with Botterill because Botterill didn't have the resume to demand that. And not to say he's done a bad job or a good job or whatever. That's neither here nor there. My point in all of this is I don't think they're going to get a legitimate GM candidate. And I don't think that group's going to give up control, and the Oilers will continue on this path. Because guess what? Peter Chiarelli was one part. He was like a 16th of the problem there.
You know what's amazing? Out of the McEichel draft, Oilers can't find a GM. Sabres can't find a coach.
Crazy, isn't it?
And that was 4 years ago.
Housley's gone, isn't he?
Yeah. They don't have a coach.
It's Sean Burke.
Sean Burke, yes.
And Ken Holland.
And Sean Burke's been rumored.
If he changes his mind.
Sean Burke's been rumored for a while. Why would Ken Holland do that?
Yeah, so right now he's on the I'm not really going to do that right now, but there's still potential for him to come back from Sweden.
Also, Oilers fans are like, Ken Holland, F that.
Ken Holland's done a lot with Hockey Canada, and they're based out of Alberta. So,
But Ken Holland,
where's he from?
It doesn't like Ken Holland has been with Detroit forever. He's friends with Yzerman, obviously.
Yeah.
Like at this point, he's won his cups. He's done his thing. Wouldn't you just be like, you know what?
You should stick on as like an advisor.
This is a cushy role. I created the monster. Now it's the monster's turn, and I'm gonna assist that monster. He created Steve Yzerman.
Yep. And we look at Ken Holland through
recency.
The eyes of today.
He was also brilliant.
Yeah, dude. He's done a lot that you can't take away from him, and you can make excuses for his success. He had it.
Absolutely,
he had it. Very few players, managers, either of them, go through their careers without a loss. Without some sort of slip up, some sort of trip. So, I mean, how could you ever take that away from Ken Holland? In today's NHL, with the mess that the Oilers have,
and to clarify, he's not he's not considered a candidate. It's
I thought he was.
They want him to be, but it doesn't look like he wants to step down from his role as vice president of the Red Wings.
Ken Holland was an unbelievable GM before the cap.
Yeah. And he was in the early cap too.
Yeah, and they won a cup. One of the first cap cups. There we go. Won one of the first cap cups. But now he'd be in charge of fixing the same problem in Edmonton that he couldn't fix in Detroit, which I just don't really see much of a match there.
Yeah.
No way.
So Sean Burke's more of a serious candidate than
if Sean Burke wants it.
Yeah.
Probably. What does Sean Burke have in his resume? As
Montreal amateur scout or head scout.
That's not
I think that's
great.
his position right now.
That's it.
Sean Burke.
I know. Obviously, he was a goalie for a very long time. He was a goalie coach. I want to say.
If I'm picking my GM based on amateur scouts, I take Keith Gretzky because at least the Oilers system is a lot deeper than the Canadian system, isn't it?
No.
Oilers system looks pretty good right now.
Okay system. They're okay.
It was bad for years. Maybe since Burke's come back, Sean Burke has been on.
Here's the thing: most teams, when they're bad for a while, end up racking up some prospects. It just hasn't happened for all the teams in the league. Edmonton less so than boy, I still look at Buffalo. What are you doing?
Co-general manager of Team Canada, a couple times.
International doesn't count.
Yeah, so what?
So he did that
Yeah.
and then hired by Montreal.
Hey,
Is that cruel?
No,
Like,
I think that's realistic. It's hey, we're giving you the pick of the litter of the best players in the world.
Well, there's no cap issues for Team Canada.
Exactly. No,
So
it's a nothing.
it's just not the same.
It's a nothing thing. And not that it's not. Listen,
It's not enough.
It's not
It's not enough.
in this context. It's not a reason.
It's that's nice.
You managed not to fail. Like you had the best players in the world, and you managed not to fuck it up. Like I mean that's
Now-
that's great that you're the assistant in that.
We
and that's,
put you in a position to automatically finish in the top 5, and if you don't, it's a failure.
yeah.
There's a clear connection there. Bob Nicholson and Hockey
Oh,
Canada.
100%.
yes.
And Sean Burke and Hockey Canada.
And they should maybe knock
So-
that off.
That's why he is the candidate.
I sure hope it happens. now I want it to be Sean Burke.
Right?
Well, because then if Sean Burke gets hired, what are the chances Sean Burke's going to walk in there with the resume to say, no, I need full control?
And that's
especially with
why-
Bob Nicholson.
Yeah, and it looks like, hey, we brought in somebody new as a new voice, an outside hire from the Canadians, but looks like there's a deeper connection where he'd just be another body in the whole cog of
However,
it.
is it possible in hockey to, like in NHL hockey, to like once you're in the club, you're in the club, man?
That's true.
I just feel like the Oilers are that player who needs surgery but refuses to get it. Dude, get the surgery, sit out a little bit, and when you come back, you're going to be a monster again. I don't think the task ahead of them is as dire as people say, because at the end of the day, they can still have a bunch of yucky contracts on their cap and still have that three-headed monstrosity.
Yeah, but the Leafs. Okay, if you compare it to the Leafs, though, the Leafs made the playoffs, made it to the seventh game in the first round. Okay, that's as far as they went. The Oilers have less cap space. Like the Leafs have $9 million without LTIR to spend this summer. Okay, the
on
Oilers
guys they already have.
The Oilers have like less than $2 million, and they didn't make the playoffs. You can't tell me. You can't. I'm sorry,
it's
but
bad.
you can't tell me that it's even like. Okay, a real turnaround is not just scraping into the playoffs. A real turnaround is a organization that is legitimately stronger. Anybody in the NHL can scrape into the playoffs. I'm still waiting on the Coyote ship to come in, for God's sakes.
Man, look at the playoffs this
But-
year, dude.
but-
Look at the playoffs this year, dude.
But, because I believe the Coyotes should be in the playoffs. I believe they are better than at least one of the teams that made the playoffs. But Edmonton sure can sneak in. I 100%. But they are never, ever going to be a contender, and McDavid will ask for a trade-out.
Now, I look at one of the most entertaining series in the second round. Well, one of the most. There's only 4. They're all pretty good. The Carolina versus New York Islanders series. The 4 goalies are Peter Mrazek, Curtis McElhinney, Robin Leonard, and Thomas Greiss.
Yeah.
And heading into this past summer, there was a legitimate argument that Curtis McElhinney is the best of the 4.
Pooh. It's crazy, isn't it?
Dude, dire. And like Robin Leonard might have won it by default. Like it was real bad. Goalies
Crazy.
Goalies can catch him. Remember Pavel Electricity?
Yeah, man.
Dude, it
Did they even make the playoffs that year? When he was Pavelectric?
I think that was the year they lost in 4 to the Ducks.
Ah, right. Okay.
That was the first whiteout. It was fun. They didn't do anything, but whatever.
Also, Arizona, quit it with the whiteouts when you made the playoffs that first time. That one time.
No, but think of all the
2012.
history.
You can't do the whiteout.
Think of it. No,
It's
they're doing
ridiculous.
it because everyone in Arizona in the 90s went ballistic for the whiteout. They went nuts.
Yeah.
In 1992 or whatever, they went nuts.
I
for
think
the-
they weren't there
crazy.
till like 96, weren't they?
That was crazy.
People just gathered on Arizona street corners when the Winnipeg Jets were in the playoffs and just lost their shit.
It is funny that the Jets and the former Jets both do the whiteout is very funny.
The Coyotes
And they both wear white jerseys.
It's been 7 years since the Coyotes could do a whiteout, so.
Have they not made the playoffs for 7 years?
It's been a
2012.
while. Yeah.
Dude,
2012 was a long time ago now.
you know who had a legit shot at like a Vezina nomination? Darcy Kemper. Anything can happen. Maybe Koskinen. Maybe he
I need to hold my hand this way. Like maybe some goofy shit happens.
Yeah.
All of a sudden he's a league average goaltender. They have the best player of hockey. He's got a couple merry men with him. And a couple guys have a hot season. It can happen.
By the way, it seems an awful lot like Nikita Zaitsev and Milan Lucic may end up in Vancouver, doesn't it?
Does it?
I'm hearing because Milan Lucic was talking. I believe he was on one of the Sportsnet stations talking openly about playing in Vancouver and how that could be a possibility.
Which is funny because he
famously said he'd never go back there.
He'd never go back. I mean, didn't Chris Chelios say he would never play in Detroit?
Yeah.
And then I think he won a cup there.
Yeah.
Yeah. It doesn't mean anything.
But I saw Ian Tulloch suggesting that maybe the Nikita Zaitsev would be a fit in Vancouver. I just think it'd be really funny if they were able to pair him up with like Pettersson and revive his career. I mean, I don't think they would, but it would be very, very interesting to see that sort of happen. And if the Oilers can get even half that contract off their books, I think it's a win.
I saw a suggestion today. If you could get, with maybe if some picks involved, not sure which way they're going, what if you could do some sort of trade that was Kasperi Kapanen for Adam Larson? What would you?
I would do it.
As a Leaf fan.
Yeah, I would do it. Well, maybe I don't. The one thing I've heard with Adam Larson is he's slow.
Yeah, he can move the puck though, and he is what they need.
Is he good with offensive zone breakouts? Like,
is he better than Igor Ozhiganov? Let's start there.
Yeah, well, I guess Kapanen is a very, very effective player in a limited role. I think he'd be great with Connor McDavid. They'd be scary together.
There it is.
But I would rather. I mean, I think they're going to lose one of Janssen or Kapanen this year.
I think they're going to as well.
And I think they've got to figure out who's got more trade value because I think they're essentially the same. Like, I don't think Kapanen. I don't think Janssen's as fast as Kapanen. Obviously, they have different traits.
They're both pretty quick.
But I think they're both pretty good NHLers, maximum. And I think you have to trade one of them for something. And if Adam Larson's one of the guys they get back, and they're able to find room for other people, I don't mind Adam Larson at all.
I'm curious. Is it weird that I'm more excited to see what Kapanen can do in Edmonton than I am to see what Adam Larson can do with the Leaf?
Oh,
with
yeah.
Adam Larson, it's plug and play. Like, we need a right-handed defender, and
wouldn't
you
it be
are one
great?
of those.
Wouldn't it be great to have a guy that frees Morgan Riley up a little bit to be a little more offensive after a 70-point season?
I'd put Adam Larson with Morgan Riley.
Of course, because he's the stay-at-home guy that they sort of like stay-at-home, quote unquote. He's the more.
He's a guy who walks and talks with a right-handed stick who isn't Igor Ozhiganov.
Yes.
Yeah.
Although I'd like to look
offense.
at his advanced numbers a little bit first.
I don't remember. I think they're not that bad.
I feel like you'd need something to sweeten that pot too, because you're trading a much younger player in Kapanen by NHL standards.
It'd free up cap space for the Oilers.
And you're not, but what about the Leafs, though? The Leafs would be taking on $4 million in salary, which is probably more than you're paying Kapanen.
What about the Janssen?
Huh?
What about, just do Janssen then?
Well, Janssen, too. Same thing, though. It's the same issue.
No,
both
but
are own signed.
There's a little closer in age difference. It's 24, 26.
I worry about Janssen because the Leafs aren't very deep on the left wing.
So I would say Kapanen plus a pick, and it wouldn't have to be a high pick. It would be like a mid-round pick. You'd still have to do something. It can't just be Kapanen.
It's a thought.
It's a thought. Your thought. That's right. I said it. Deal with it. So let's do a quick swing around the schedule here.
Oh, yeah.
We've got St. Louis and Dallas tied at 2, which is just a fun series.
Everyone's talking about like Carolina and the Islanders as the series between two teams where it's like, how did you get here? And I'm looking at Dallas going, how the hell?
And St. Louis, who was last.
St. Louis has at least been a wagon. Like, Dallas was like, oh, fucking horse shit. And then they, still were never really that great. And they didn't really clinch until near the end. And also being chased by nobody behind them. Except the nobody behind them ended up being Colorado. And now they're in the second round as well. It's weird. I just never really thought of them as a threat. And then I saw them match up against Nashville. I'm like, well, they could do it. And now to see them pushing the Blues so hard, the Blues who I really, really think has a shot at the Cup. Those pesky Stars, man. Those pesky Stars.
Not horseshit anymore.
Nope.
Colorado and San Jose, 2-1. I mean, Nathan McKinnon can't do it all on his own, can he?
But he sure is trying. He sure is trying. Man, can San Jose score a shitload of goals?
They sure can.
They can. I saw a tweet the other day. It was about like Erik Karlsson. He's putting up all these points, and it was basically making fun of the notion that Erik Karlsson, he looks hurt. But no one ever criticized this offense.
No.
No one ever criticized.
But when
this
you ask him to
offense.
pivot, I'm still a little freaked out.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, but don't let that get in the way of a fire tweet, bro.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but when people turnstile Erik Karlsson because that ankle doesn't work anymore, I'm a little. What I would be worried as a team that's on the outside is, what are we paying him next year?
I mean, just because he looks hurt doesn't mean he can't do anything. He did what he did with the Sens on a broken foot.
Totally,
But
totally. Just how long?
He's a little bit limited. Man, the Sharks can score a shitload of goals too.
Sure
They
can.
score a shitload. Oh, I saw a stat today that blew my mind. Since 2010, Logan. Okay, I screwed it up. The top playoff goal scorer since 2010 is Alex Ovechkin.
Logan Couture.
The second highest is Logan Couture. Number 5 is Joe Pavelski.
Really?
2 of the top 5 goal scorers
Man.
in the
They've just
playoffs.
played so many games in the playoffs. Like,
but they've never won the cup.
Yeah,
They have been to the final.
It should have been like goals per game, minimum
like-
amount of games
Logan
instead of
Couture-
just the total because it's not fair.
How many does Logan Couture already have? The Sharks
know.
have played 10 games.
I don't know.
9 goals.
Okay.
He's unreal.
Erik Karlsson has 10 assists.
Whoa.
10 games.
Okay,
He's
so
no
here's-
Jacob Slavin, 12 assists. Whoa.
Whoa. So here's what I'm going to throw at you. You should be cheering for the Boston Bruins in the Columbus-Boston series.
Oh, hell yeah, for sure.
You should be
Why
cheering
is
for it.
that?
Because the brilliant hockey mind that is Jeff Merrick made a really good point.
Oh,
The Stanley Cup matchup we should be waiting for and wanting
Oh,
is San Jose versus Boston.
why?
Joe Thornton winning the cup in Game 7 in Boston Garden. Although I'm not sure who finished, whatever. But Joe Thornton winning the cup at Boston Garden.
TD
Wouldn't that
Garden.
just be a thing? TD Garden.
how about this?
Toronto
Columbus beats
Dominion
Boston,
Garden.
and San Jose wins anyway. How about that? I'd be down for that as well.
Yeah, how about Brad Marchand just kind of goes home and then somebody else wins the cup?
But wouldn't it be cool?
It would.
Storyline-wise, if you're cheering for storylines here, that's the one. Do you think Columbus is going to win this series, though?
Well, they're up 2-1 on the Bruins, which, as we all know, is the kiss of death. Pack it up, Boston. You're finished. No, not so much. Still hurting.
Why do people give the idea that the Islanders are going to come back and win 4 in a row such credence against Carolina? What is it about Carolina that people don't believe yet?
I don't know if it's about a disbelief in Carolina, although I do watch Curtis McElhinney and go, how do you stop pucks? How do you do it? It's that, listen, how many times do we got to have the Islanders laugh in our face and say, I told you so?
Yeah. So you're afraid to bet against the Islanders. But these are the 2 teams you should be afraid to bet against because they've both been the teams people have bet against all year.
I would not be surprised to see a Game 7 between these 2 teams.
Really?
Well, just because
It's 3-0.
they're both the Toto-so teams. They both love saying a Toto-so.
Would you bet your James Reimer figurine on it?
I would
Doll.
never bet
His
that
doll.
on anything. I would never bet it on anything.
Remember when I-
Figure!
Remember when I stole it and took it to Florida?
Yeah, you piece of garbage.
That was a good bit. I like that.
It was not a bet. It was theft is what it was. It was as illegal as a punch to the back of the head.
Which apparently isn't illegal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Illegal, but deemed funny enough to be allowed. Exactly the same thing.
Before we go to the commercial, the what we're gonna do, which is an enormous press conference, I want to play for you something.
All right.
I want to play this clip for you because I think it's important.
I want to play for you something.
And I'm not going to tell you what it is until after the clip has run. Okay? You ready? So here we go.
I knew it.
Is this a video game?
Yeah, it sounds like a video game.
No! Really? That's how I die? Oh my god, I'm fucking stupid. I'm fucking stupid. Oh, a baby zombie.
Do you know what just happened?
Somebody died in a video game
And they got eaten.
by a baby zombie.
Streamer Phil Watson, Philza, has been playing the same Minecraft survival game for 5 years. And the way Minecraft survival works is that you play, and it's like life. So you build and build and build and build and build for as long as you can. But eventually, if you die, the whole thing gets wiped away.
Oh, no.
He's been playing it for 5 years and streaming it online. And he died in the dumbest way you possibly can. Which is,
that was his 5 years of building death.
5 years he'd been building, and he falls into a hole and gets eaten by a spider in the game. And so he'd been streaming for 5 years the same game.
Why was his reaction just no?
That's how
I would have
died.
cried.
It sounded like he was pretty close.
I listened to that and I thought, how is it not more?
How is he not bawling his eyes out?
How are you not smashing your equipment and never playing that game again and shutting your channel down?
I've gotten scored on in ones in NHL. Like, not even lost. Scored on.
When you were up 2-1 or something. Yeah.
So part of me wonders if he was just ready for it to be done.
I think he was relieved.
Yeah. Because after what, like they say that about winning streaks is that, like, you know, like in hockey where they're like, I'm kind of glad the streak's done so we can stop talking
There's so
about
much
it.
pressure and I'm doing this. I'm just happy it's over.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Isn't that nuts? And imagine there'd be a little bit of like, wouldn't you feel like, it sounds dumb, but a little bit of loss? Like, wouldn't you feel like, oh man, like that's rough.
About 5 years without dying. Is that the record?
It's gotta be. It's gotta be. But yeah, he gets like 60 or 70,000 viewers per. Like he does pretty well on Twitch. So
that's not bad.
Wow. Yeah.
Now what do? Do you start over?
I don't know, because that was your USP. Like that was your unique selling position, right? That's
your
the
USP.
Reason, that's what your team.
My least favorite MMA fighter.
USP.
He didn't really catch on.
That's
He's from Saskatchewan.
Yeah, wasn't as popular with the Quebecois audience.
That's the reason that people are coming to your store. Now the store is dead.
But now, oh yeah, that's true. I was gonna say the hardcores will stick around to see what you do next.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's gonna. I would think he'd lose a big chunk of his audience.
Yeah, Steve freaked out more about Brad Marchand than he did about losing a 5-year-old Twitch stream, which, by the way, he started that Twitch stream, and Jesse wasn't even the producer of this podcast yet.
Oh my God.
The podcast existed, right?
Yes.
5 years ago?
We're pushing 6 years in June.
6 years, okay.
6 years at the beginning of June.
5 years ago, like this date 5 years ago, the Leafs had still not drafted William Nylander.
Oh yeah.
The Leafs' most recent first round pick 5 years ago was Freddie Gauthier.
Wasn't it 5 years ago, Freddie Gauthier? Just on the actual.
No, 5 years ago was Nylander, because he was the 2014 draft.
Oh.
I was in Philadelphia.
There you go. Being all sweaty. Still my favorite
was sweaty.
picture.
I needed sand.
Press conference. Let's do it.
I have a bunch of screenshots of the best questions.
Now, can you ask a Steve specific one so I can go to the bathroom?
Oof. All right.
Sorry. I just need to go to the bathroom.
The presser.
Yeah, go ahead.
The Steve Dangle Press Conference.
Oh, that's the one by Casual Mats.
Boo! Oh, sorry.
Will the Marlies get better TV ratings than any other NHL playoff series?
No. What? No. Also, the Marlies aren't aired on. They're not aired on easily accessible channels, are they? Like, they're on Leafs TV, I think. Like, if they were on a Sportsnet or TSN, I mean, they'd have a decent viewership, but they wouldn't have better than the other NHL series. The Stanley Cup Final always does well, I'm pretty sure, no matter who's in it, because it's the hockey that's on. You're looking at me all skeptically.
I think he was joking.
Oh.
Bunch of bacteria writes, you have to get rid of one team from the NHL. Who do you choose? You get a Thanos snap of one team. And they can never come back.
Boston Bruins. No, I'm kidding. The Boston Bruins I at least respect.
Yeah.
Minnesota Wild.
That's a good answer. All right, next question. Old Town Road. This is from Jesse Messerol. Old Town Road. Thumbs up or thumbs down?
Thumbs up.
Thumbs up.
Yes.
Lil Nas X. Billy Ray Cyrus version or original version? Spicy chicken or original chicken?
I don't know if I've heard both versions. I think I've only heard
Really?
one. What's the one from all the memes? It's the Billy Ray Cyrus version, right?
Well, the mean part doesn't always play like the part with Billy Ray Cyrus in it. It just has he does the chorus at the beginning, and then he has a verse on the second verse.
I think I've only heard the Billy Ray Cyrus version.
Oh, well, there's an OG version where it's just Lil Nas X, and there's no Billy Ray Cyrus chorus and verse.
No, I must have heard the Billy Ray one.
Yeah, you probably only heard that one. Though.
Yeah, I don't know is my answer.
All right, so middle thumb is what we're giving it. Or no, thumbs up.
That's a thumbs up.
Thumbs up to the song. Amazing. Who from the This is from Sean Brigsby. Who from the Marlies do you want to make the jump to the Leafs this fall?
Jeremy Bracco's probably going to have to make it out of necessity. Pierre Engvall really intrigues me. I just don't see it happening. It could. Engvall's an interesting one because he can play wing and they're like trying to develop him as a center, it seems, on the Marlies, but like playing center in the AHL doesn't necessarily mean you're going to end up being an NHL center. I think people shouldn't sleep on the prospect of Rasmus Sandin making the Leafs next year. He might honestly make it next year. But the Leafs power play sucked, so I would say Jeremy Bracco, because I think he could be a huge X factor for that PP.
Which position in the organization, this is from Vepsis, which position in the organization do you hope Sheldon Keefe will be starting at the 2019-2020 season? A, head coach of the Marlies. B, assistant coach of the Leafs. C, head coach of the Leafs. D, member of the Steve Dangle Podcast.
No. I think we'd all just like be afraid to talk. And he'd be like, what? What do you want to know? He's an intimidating guy. I'd say head coach of the Marlies.
Adam, now that you're back.
Babcock's not going to get fired, and he's doing a good job.
I think he'll be an assistant at the Leaf level. He's signed to a contract that's triple what the average AHL coach makes. I think that was for a reason. They knew G.J. Smith was leaving, and I think Sheldon Keefe will be a part of the coaching staff. And I think all we will hear next year is how tense it is, how tense it is, how tense it is. That's, I can see the narrative developing already, and I can't wait.
I think, I don't know.
Remember, at one point in time, Mitch Marner was playing fourth line on the Leafs, and they were going to trade him for Noah Hannafin. So these things, they could have happened. So these things can materialize out of nowhere. I think Sheldon Keefe is an NHL assistant coach next year with the Leafs, and I think he wants to be here.
I'm interested to see what they do. I don't think it'll be Sheldon Keefe. Listen, the Leafs were a great team 5-5. I'm curious to see what they do with that PK and with that PP. What that PP do? That's what we need to see.
Spencer Ferguson wants to know, Adam, this is an Adam-specific question because you left Steve out to dry for those first set of questions. What's the most ridiculous fact that Adam Wild knows?
Ridiculous.
You have
fact.
one fact. Someone says, deliver your most interesting fact to me, Adam Wild.
Say Botany Bay.
That's like asking someone to be funny. I don't think that's possible. Like
deliver your most interesting fact, sir.
Funny. Oh, funny guy. Like
Tell a joke.
I dated a girl once, and I went to her dad's house, and he was like, "Oh, you're a radio guy. Give me a radio break." And I was like, yeah, I can't. You'll have to just listen to the show.
All right, Spencer.
My girlfriend's dad's house, and he asked me an awkward question. Awkward question.
And in her defense, she was just dying of embarrassment. You could just tell.
Clayton Arnold wants to know.
Caller number 1. Have you ever met a guy who's banged your daughter?
Oh,
wow.
That's good.
Oh, sorry. Would you not do that? Sorry.
Tonight is the... Clayton Arnold wants to know. Tonight's the CFL draft.
Oh, wow. I can't wait.
Do you have any sleeper picks for the CFL draft?
Yeah, it'll be a sleeper.
Clayton's got a good sense.
That's my pick.
All right. Steve.
Yes.
With your limited knowledge of Game of Thrones, who do you think wins the Iron Throne?
Oh, this is a good
question. This is a fun question.
I
this
love
is from Sarah.
Dumbledore.
Out of Game of Thrones characters. Based on what you know by never watching an episode.
Okay, so here's what I know. I know 2 things. Everyone loves Arya Stark.
Yeah.
and Game of Thrones kills everyone that everyone likes.
Oh.
Arya Stark's going to die for sure.
Yeah. She's going to vanquish that the Leonidas' wife lady, Cersei. She played in the movie. I forget the actress's name.
Lena Headey.
Is it Cersei?
Lena
I think
Headey
it's
is her
Cersei.
name.
Lena,
What did you call her?
Leonidas' wife. She's King Leonidas' wife in 300.
Yes.
But I don't know the actress's name, so what else am I supposed to refer to her as?
All right, go ahead.
My queen! And Gerard Butler just screams it, and everyone goes, oh. Yeah, so she's going to vanquish Cersei, and it's going to be this wonderful moment, and everyone's going to be all happy. And then she's going to get stabbed, because that was, at the time, the only way to kill.
Arya's going to get stabbed.
Arya's going to get stabbed, and it's going to be
All right.
really sad, and everyone's going to be pissed.
Oof, I'm going to be upset.
She'll
about
go out in
that.
a blaze of glory, but I'm of the personal opinion that the bad guys are going to win. And I'm very,
That's
very
not
here for that.
happening. It's not
Oh,
happening at all.
make it. No, Game
It's
of Thrones
not.
has. I think they've let us for too long think that the good guys are going to win this thing.
It's a television show, Adam. The good guys are going to win.
It's
It's a fictional TV
I
show.
so desperately want.
It's
them
not
to lose.
real life.
Haven't they taken the final season out of George R.R. Martin's hands?
It hasn't been the same since like season 6 halfway through. They passed the book.
So wasn't he like Captain Kill Your Favorite Guy?
Yeah.
So now
And
that
since
he's
then,
out
it's
of,
eased off. So
However,
it's also
I think the good guys win.
He did.
Whoever they are.
He is an executive producer, so he's sort of guiding how the story is supposed to go. They're getting it from him.
Who's the most popular character? Kill him.
I think the whole reason that they killed a bunch of characters off at the beginning, by the way, is to introduce the new characters, right? Anytime there's a coup or there's a change in leadership in countries that don't have democracy, there's a lot of death. And that's what happens in Game of Thrones. So, to me, they killed the quote-unquote main characters to prove a point that they are the main characters of another story. And that's why you haven't seen a lot of main characters die since. That's part of the reason. It's that it's a transition.
What's the character from the avocado meme? She's holding a dragon egg and it's an avocado.
Daenerys Targaryen.
That one. Does she still have dragons?
We think so. We know she's got
she has
one.
one.
We don't know what
There's
happened
one.
to the second one. We're not sure if
It's
it's dead.
most likely dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is what kills Arya.
There you go.
I made
I'm
it up.
of the opinion that the good guys will win because it's a television show, and that's how television shows end.
But can imagine how sick would it be?
But
if
aren't
it
there
This is
didn't?
from-
good guys other than
We got more
Arya?
questions. We got more
This is
questions.
from Austin Miller. We will do Game of Thrones recaps
Okay.
on after next Sunday. Austin Miller wants to know if the three of you played in the MLB, what would your walk-up song be?
Oh, that's tough.
I'll go first. My song would be "Can't Tell Me Nothing" by Kanye West.
That is a good
I
one.
think it's a good pick.
I feel like it's got to be something with a big beat.
Or "Father Touch My Hands." Stretch my hands. Sorry.
It's got to be something with a big beat. I hate when it suits very few players to walk up to a country song. Sometimes it
Yeah.
works.
It always sounds really, especially in speakers that are in like a stadium. It sounds twangy, like really
Yeah.
twangy.
Yeah.
Like you get a lot of the top end. You need something bassy for sure.
And then there's like what Edwin used to walk up to, which was always like.
Yeah.
Jose Bautista always had a wicked walk-up song, and I'm sad he's gone for a variety of reasons. Old Town Road.
That's Vladdy's.
Is it?
Yeah.
That's
all
awesome.
all week, Vladdy was walking up to Old Town Road. It was just hilarious.
Yeah. I think I'd walk up to Bad Guy by Billie Eilish just because of how silly it would look.
Adam, do you have a song?
Duh.
Yeah. And that's how it would start. Duh.
Adam, do you have a song?
Panama, Van Halen. It's always been Panama. It always will be.
Of course. Why can't we
Frank
be friends?
and-
That is not.
No, that's what I want to walk up to.
Oh.
I was just thinking, sorry.
Frank and Sam had the same question. Are you guys cheering for a Hurricanes Sharks finals? So it will be the Sharknado Stanley Cup final.
That's funny.
Sharks versus
That's
Hurricanes.
actually, you know what? There's another good final you should be rooting for. I love that. Sharks in the finals.
Bunch of sharks.
Bunch
Mine's
of,
better.
bunch of fish.
Bunch of fish.
Plenty of sharks.
Hey.
We found it.
Plenty of
All right.
hurricanes.
We've-
They're better.
Andreas has an interesting observation / question / I thought this was a great thought. He says, it's a little long, it's 2 tweets. Are afternoon games such a burden for the North American market? In the last years, the NFL has overtaken the NHL by a wide margin in Europe, mainly because they have loads of afternoon games on weekends. All that without real professional football happening over here, even though they did play some NFL Europe games over there. Another thing, the NHL provides free games through its app for almost every game day. However, those are very rarely top games or really good times for European markets. I just don't get why they miss out on easy chances to grow the game. Any guesses on your side? Andres.
My guess would be other sports dummy the NHL in those time slots, at least in North America.
Guess what? They dummy them here, too. They dummy them in Europe, they dummy them here.
No. I mean, like, when the NHL is on in the middle of the afternoon, my guess is whatever else is on is also on in the afternoon, and it kills it.
If it's a big sports hour, there's going to be big sports on. And then if you put on your product against those,
you will
even
lose
less audience.
Yeah, so like the fact of the matter is the NHL can't compete that way because it's not big enough here, which is preventing it from growing elsewhere. So, dude, I like a good matinee game. I don't mind. That Century game against Carolina, the 2:00 game, I went to that. And it was great.
Yeah, you're done by 5, get home.
That was weird.
Yeah,
Done by
it was.
5 on a Tuesday.
Yeah, I like that.
It was pretty strange. I'm all for it, but and I think a lot of Canadians are for it. I just think in the States it gets dummied.
Yeah, I agree.
This one is from Tempest. Why can't you judge a book by its cover if a picture is worth 1,000 words?
Because no one likes you.
Yeah. This is my third show today, and I just don't have the brain power anymore.
Adam, this
the
one's for you.
answer is Dumbledore.
With your lack of brain power. This is from Will Tarpey.
Okay.
Does Max Kellerman sleep in his car?
He might. The man, he looks very confused.
'Cause he just might.
He might think it's a bed. He kind of has that. He's got the 5 o'clock shadow that looks like he slept in his car. I think he thinks it like defines his chin, but it just makes him look a little bit like he's down on his luck and looking for his next apartment.
He's got the type of beard that makes you go, is that on purpose?
Yeah.
He's got the look on his face like, is that on purpose?
Yeah.
Did you mean to? Like, I would love to be like, did you mean to?
Do you know where you are?
Yeah. Like,
And then he would look at me confused, and I wouldn't notice his facial difference because
like, first take is the Skip and
guy's
Shannon, right?
eyebrows.
Yeah.
They gotta
Man,
work out.
like, what a better job they did of pairing Skip Bayless with somebody. Like, you need to. Skip and Shannon are amazing, and so is Stephen A. But you need to have. I don't think Max is really smart. You can tell. But I don't know if Max is bombastic enough to compete with the bombacity of Stephen A. Smith, and I think you need a counterbalance to that.
Well, yes, because Stephen A. Smith will be like brash, or no, sorry. How does it work? What's the other guy's name? Skip Bayless will brash, ridiculous opinion
About LeBron.
about LeBron. Probably.
Always about LeBron. They
And
talk about
Shannon
LeBron
Sharp
all the time.
Responds, "What?
Yeah.
Are you nuts?" Stephen A. Smith goes, brash, ridiculous opinion. And Max Kellerman goes, well, I don't know about that. And I know which one I'd rather watch.
Bayless's show is called Undisputed.
Undisputed, and then it's First Take, right?
And First Take is Stephen A. and Max
right,
Kellerman. Yeah.
right. Skip.
Sorry, can you say that one more time?
First Take is Stephen A. and Max Kellerman, and Skip and Shannon are Undisputed.
I don't know about that, Jesse. Okay.
Is your beard coming in or going? I don't know.
I'm not sure yet.
Maybe I've told this story on the podcast before, but Jesse once said Max Kellerman is not a thing, and then the next week I sent him a picture of Max Kellerman, and he didn't know who it was. He's like, "Who is this?"
I was like,
and I'm like, "It's Max Kellerman, man." And again, I'm not trying to take shots at Max Kellerman, but like I'm not seeing he's not hard on the puck the way I'd like for that format. That's the format.
For the biggest show that ESPN
Yeah.
has, to be the side guy on that, and you can't do anything.
Like, I
or have
understand-
an opinion or be relevant.
I understand not being able to compete with Stephen A. Smith because
Yeah.
who could?
You can be two, but you're not even two.
You gotta like the host of that show is two.
Yeah.
Because there's always a host in the middle.
He looks like a character from the live-action version of The Secret Life of Pets. Like, I don't know how else to put it. I could just see him as a guy who, like, owns a dog in that movie.
All right.
Without the need of being a cartoon character.
I want to get all of his Max Kellerman t-shirts.
Okay. So he just looks confused all the time.
It is amazing, though, in those shows. Like, forget that football exists, and it's the biggest sport in America, I think. The NBA is always the conversation, and it's always LeBron or where Kevin Durant is signing. It's unbelievable. And every day they do, what do they do those shows for? 2 hours?
I think that's an hour show. Yeah.
Okay, it's an hour long. Every day it's Kevin Durant. If they find a new angle, the new angle today is Kevin Durant would never want to go to Los Angeles because why would he want to support LeBron when he knows he'll always be second fiddle to him when he could go to New York and potentially get his own show on the MSG network?
Today on Undisputed, Draymond Green punched a guy in the back of the head, and he was suspended because, well, you can't do that in sports.
What does Max Kellerman think?
I mean, no, you can't.
That's funny.
No, I mean, yeah, why would you?
What does
Why do
Max
you- what does he
Kellerman think of that crab rangoon? Things of that nature.
I always just get the pork chops. Sorry. You know what's great? I don't know what his voice sounds like.
Doesn't matter.
I don't even know.
It doesn't matter. You give it the eyebrows work. I like the way your eyebrows.
I don't know.
Next, this has been going around the internet for a little bit. People have been asked this from David Stevenson. People have been asking people, armed with a baseball bat. You're in the middle of a field. You got a baseball bat. A wave of 10-year-olds are coming at you. How many 10-year-olds could you take down?
See, this is tough because, like, 10-year-olds, like, a bunch of them have already been in karate for, like, 4 or 5 years. So they know some shit. A 10-year-old comes at you with the right kind of kick at your knee, and you're done. All of a sudden, you're down, and you're down to their level. And then they eat you alive, little bit by bit, like piranha.
Yeah. This is a fight to the death, by the way.
Yes, I assume.
Yes. Ooh.
It's a little bit unpleasant, but okay if I must. How many?
Yeah.
See, I would need to know factors like that. But I guess that's just the wild card.
Yeah. It's just, we got a bunch of 10-year-olds who are willing to do this. Their parents approve. They sign the documents. We send you in the middle of the field. They're coming wave at wave. What do you do? How many you getting?
24.
Around there? You only that much?
Man,
You're not giving 10-year-olds enough credit.
I don't think 10-year-olds first off are sneaky strong and they're long because their limbs have started to
You also
stretch.
have a baseball bat.
I know, but like I feel like a couple swings of that, you'd be exhausted. Like people forget, like you take 1 swing, 2 swings, 3 swings, you're fine.
Yeah, I throw my back out and I'm done at 4.
Yeah, let's talk about swing 15.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it might take that many to take 1 down.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say 3 or 4 for me.
3 or 4? Wow.
Also, I took a lot of traumatic blows to the head when I was 10 years old.
It's true.
And bounced back from it and was fine.
Yeah.
So it probably
Started
wouldn't
his own successful YouTube channel.
Yeah. Huh? Well, anyway, Tom and Greg, or whatever your names are, I had no negative effects from it.
Alex_Power29 want to know if you're rooting for anybody now. And
Carolina.
why?
Carolina.
Not yet. Sorta. Like a little bit.
Who?
I'm cheering for Carolina just because, you know, Elliot Friedman has sort of beaten the drum like I would like the Leafs to do well just because of like what it would mean for hockey, this sort of all offense fun style. I feel like the Hurricanes are sort of that, and there's also this angle of, you know, this market that a lot of people sort of ignore, and their fans have fully embraced the team, and also this bunch of jerks thing. They have essentially 2 journeymen in net who are both Vezina candidates for some reason. Rod Brindamore is like, what is he, a second-year head coach? And he's unreal. They have the right combination of these young, plucky guys and old, scraggly dudes. Like, it's just a really good mix. And I'm not going to lie, the fact that they're playing the Islanders helps. And Islanders fans, it's nothing against you. Listen, I know that taking away all biases, you are far and away the best story of these playoffs. I get it.
but it would be embarrassing if you won. So go Carolina.
Fair enough.
And you might say, but what about Curtis McElhinney? I'll deal with it. I can deal with the fallout of we got Curtis McElhinney versus the John Tavares stuff.
Yeah.
I can deal with that.
That's fair.
This is from D2 Tower
Two
News.
specs. Cool.
Two-packed, whatever. His handle actually says whatever as well. Couldn't you guys use some of that Crown Royal and pizza sponsorship to get Jesse Blake added to the intro? It's about damn time.
It is.
Is that something you want?
Yes.
Yes?
Is it?
That's funny is that you've never asked. We've talked about
I've
this.
never heard Jesse bring this up.
We've talked about this for years. So the reason that we haven't changed it quite literally is like recently we were going to, I think we looked at it last year and I had a producer lined up to do it. And he's like, okay, I'll send you some spec spots. And then he never sent them.
Oh, good.
And then we got into the season and was like, oh, damn, now we got to continue using this one at least for the remainder of the season. So, yeah, we need to get on that. And you're absolutely right. And it's not that expensive to do, and we should do it. It's ridiculous.
You know anyone at like a
radio station?
Like a radio station
Yeah.
who could maybe do
Yeah,
that?
I do.
And it's got to be like with Steve Dangle and Adam Wilde and... yeah, it's got to be like a big deal.
I should have clipped that and put it on the intro.
Yeah. I didn't even say your name yet. Jesse Blake.
It'll be fitting for the intro. If it doesn't say my name.
Imagine it just doesn't include him. And and then it goes to
it
no
trails
Jesse.
off and it goes to the episode.
Steve Dangle and Adam Wilde and the Steve Dangle.
Jamie Kurtzman says, just wanted to tell you guys have a great day and thank you for the hours of endless content.
Oh, that's really
You're
nice.
welcome,
Kick
Jamie.
rocks, I'm not falling for it.
I was told this week that I made someone rip their eardrums out. Did you guys know that? With my horrible take about Game of Thrones.
Oh, that's what
What
did
are
it.
the chances that I would know better than the showrunners? Don't you think they knew what they were doing? And I said, yes, exactly. They knew exactly what they were doing. And what they were doing was wrong.
Wow.
They accomplished their goal. Their goal was wrong.
I thought they were going to rip their eardrums out because of you having Thanksgiving dinner into the damn microphone.
That might have been it too. Sorry. These mics are really sensitive. We got to get that tuned. We got to fix that.
These mics got to man up. Call me old school, but they need to stop being so sensitive.
How about you turn
Maybe I'm old school.
Maybe I'm old school, but these mics need to get acclimated to playoff hockey.
Can you punch the mic in the back of the head? All right.
Hold on. This whole mic search has been handled poorly. They've left their interim mic twisting in the wind while Bob Nicholson interviews other mic candidates. Tell the mic whether it's sensitive or not. Sorry, that didn't really fit, but whatever.
Final question is
emoji
from,
with punctuation, like an
is
old
from Jeff. Jeff wants to just know if you've got any book tour dates coming up. He lives in northern Ontario, I think specifically Sudbury, and he's want to know if you come up there.
Oh, the bury.
Well, here's the problem. So, there is one date that is confirmed, and that's it sounds funny to say it, but Burger Fest in Vaughan. That's going to be June 15th, I think at 4:30. Come and get a burger and also a book and also get your book signed. So there's that. Here's the problem. A lot of people who want the book have already gotten it. So doing a book signing, like there needs to be more incentive for stores and stuff like that. So what they're more interested in is like an event. So sort of like it's a signing and like I'll sign some stuff, but also like we do a talk. And my thought automatically was, well, let's get the podcast all on board.
Thing about that is,
Adam had sex.
someone couldn't.
Whoa.
Had
Don't
used
just
protection.
assume that.
Yeah.
Someone had to go and make a baby.
Yeah.
Noted sex haver Adam Wilde is going to
Hey,
be an
this
ad.
guy's had sex at least once.
Hey, at
Hey.
least once. At least once. What does Max Kellerman think about that? I don't know. He's slowly becoming Rodney Dangerfield. The longer I
Really?
Oh, I don't know. But the soul. Oh, lucky you. You know?
Max also does not get no respect.
No respect. I got no respect. Tell you.
Is that it?
I put my laptop away.
Oh, you did.
Another
Okay, I
question.
can't see it from here, but hey.
I got no respect. My show's called Stephen A. and the other one. Sorry.
Yo, where are the Max Kellerman fans? If you are watching that show, and you are part of the Max Kellerman Facebook group, hit us up.
Kellerman Navy.
Kellerman Navy. We should actually start the Max Kellerman fan club and get T-shirts made and be like, and just show up to one of their broadcasts that they do live.
You could be a member of the Kellermen.
I was gonna say that.
Oh, the Kellerman.
Yes.
We are the first 3 members of the Kellermen. Doesn't matter if you're a woman,
Wait,
man. You can
hey,
be a Kellerman.
Are you a Kellerman, Steve?
Oh. I mean, I guess.
Follow the guys on Twitter at Steve_Dangle, at Adam WYLDE, and at Jesse Blake.
The Steve Dangle Podcast. Brought to you by Panago Pizza. Order at panago.com and stuff your face with deliciousness.